What if I told you there are movies so controversial that Hollywood locked them away, permanently? Some were banned, some were censored, and some were outright erased. But why? And who decided what you shouldn't see? The Birth of a Nation, 1915, the film that sparked outrage. Hollywood's first blockbuster wasn't just groundbreaking, it was outright dangerous. The Birth of a Nation made history as the first 12-reel film, running over 3 hours long. It pulled in over $50 million at the box office. Adjusted for inflation, that's billions today. But instead of being remembered for revolutionizing cinema, it became infamous for reigniting the Ku Klux Klan. D.W. Griffith directed what was supposed to be an epic Civil War saga, adapting Thomas Dixon Jr.'s novel The Klansman. The story follows two families torn apart by the war, but let's not sugarcoat it. The real message was white supremacy. Black characters were depicted as violent criminals, while the KKK was glorified as heroic saviors. It wasn't subtle. The backlash was immediate. The NAACP led protests across the country calling it 3 miles of filth. They pushed for censorship, successfully banning it in Chicago, St. Louis, and multiple states. The real-world impact was terrifying. The film revived the Klan, which had nearly died out. White-robed men marched in the streets again, inspired by what they saw on screen. Lynchings increased, cross-burnings returned. The KKK even used the film as a recruitment tool, showing it at rallies to gain new members. Despite the outrage, Hollywood didn't disown it right away. Griffith doubled down, claiming critics just didn't understand his artistic vision. Freaks, 1932, too disturbing for the public. Hollywood has produced some unsettling films, but few shook audiences like Freaks. Todd Browning, the same director behind Dracula, 1931, wanted to make something even more shocking. He got his wish, and torched his career in the process. Instead of actors in monster makeup, Browning cast real circus performers with disabilities. The story follows a beautiful trapeze artist, Cleopatra, who seduces and marries a little person, Hans, for his inheritance. When she's caught plotting to poison him, the sideshow performers take revenge, transforming her into a grotesque human duck. Audiences weren't ready. At a test screening in California, a woman allegedly ran out screaming and threatened to sue MGM for emotional distress. Another viewer reportedly had a miscarriage. The studio panicked. Even then, theaters flat out refused to show it. The film was banned in the UK for 30 years and suffered similar fates across the world. MGM was so horrified by the backlash that they buried it, refusing to acknowledge it for decades. Song of the South, 1946, Disney's forgotten film. Disney is known for preserving its classics, but this one, they've buried it. Song of the South hit theaters in 1946, blending live action and animation in a way that was groundbreaking at the time. It also gave us Zip-a-Dee-Doo-Dah, which won an Oscar. But despite its technical achievements, Disney wants nothing to do with this film. The problem? It's loaded with racial stereotypes. The movie follows a young white boy who befriends Uncle Remus, an elderly black man who tells folktales. The NAACP protested before it even hit theaters, calling it a dangerous glorification of the past. Disney ignored the criticism, banking on the film's animation and catchy songs. Some southern states censored scenes while others embraced it a little too hard. Unlike other controversial films, Song of the South was never outright banned. Instead, Disney phased it out quietly. They re-released it in theaters multiple times, until the late 80s when they finally realized the backlash wasn't going away. No VHS, no DVDs, no Disney Plus. Even as other problematic films got disclaimers, this one stayed locked up. Bootlegs still circulate, but officially, it's like this movie never existed. A Clockwork Orange, 1971, banned by its own director. Based on Anthony Burgess's novel, the movie follows Alex DeLarge, a sadistic gang leader who commits violent crimes while rambling about ultra-violence. The infamous assault scene, set to Singin' in the Rain, was improvised by Malcolm McDowell, making it even more disturbing. Critics were split, a masterpiece or dangerous propaganda. audiences ate it up. The film pulled in $26 million, a massive success at the time. But in the UK, things got ugly. A wave of copycat crimes flooded the news. A 16-year-old gang beat a homeless man while dressed like Alex. Another teenager charged with manslaughter blamed the movie in court. The British press went wild. "Ban this sick film," screamed the headlines. Kubrick and his family received death threats. Anonymous letters warned him to pull the film, or else. He didn't wait for the government to act. Kubrick himself yanked A Clockwork Orange from circulation in the UK. For nearly 30 years, the film was impossible to watch legally in Britain. No screenings, no TV airings, nothing. Salo, or the 120 Days of Sodom, 1975, the film too extreme for censorship boards. Some films push boundaries. Salo blew right through them. Even today, it's still banned in multiple countries, and just weeks before its release, its director was killed. Pier Paolo Pasolini was no stranger to controversy, but Salo was something else entirely. Loosely based on the Marquis de Sade's novel, the film swaps 18th century France for fascist Italy during World War II. A group of wealthy elites abduct teenagers and subject them to unimaginable horrors, all in the name of power. Nothing is implied. It's all on screen. Italy banned it instantly. Pasolini's death just 3 weeks before its release only fueled the chaos. He was run over multiple times with his own car. Officially, it was called a politically motivated assassination. Some believe his death was linked to the film. Other countries followed. The UK, Australia, and New Zealand outright banned it. Even France, known for its lax censorship, confiscated copies. Hollywood wanted no part of it. Unlike other controversial films that found redemption, Salo stayed buried. Caligula, 1979, when Hollywood disowned its own work. Some movies are messy. Caligula was a disaster. What started as a lavish historical epic turned into a highly controversial scandal. One so extreme that Hollywood distanced itself entirely. Funded by Penthouse magazine, the film was meant to be a serious drama about the depraved reign of Emperor Caligula. The script, written by Gore Vidal, attracted top-tier talent: Malcolm McDowell, Peter O'Toole, and Helen Mirren. But things went off the rails when Penthouse founder Bob Guccione hijacked the production. Without telling the cast, Guccione secretly filmed explicit intimate scenes and spliced them into the final cut. The actors were horrified. McDowell later admitted he had no idea the film would be X-rated. Vidal disowned his own script. Director Tinto Brass demanded his name be removed, claiming his vision had been butchered. Hollywood ran for the hills. No major studio wanted to distribute it. The film was banned in Canada, Australia, and several European countries. Even in the US, it only played in a handful of independent theaters willing to take the risk. Lawsuits flew. The actors sued. The director sued. Even the screenwriter sued. Multiple versions were cut, but no one could agree on how to salvage it. The Last Temptation of Christ, 1988. A film that sparked religious protests. Martin Scorsese fought for over a decade to make The Last Temptation of Christ. When he finally did, religious groups fought just as hard to erase it. The film was met with boycotts, bans, and death threats, and that was before it even hit theaters. Based on Nikos Kazantzakis' 1955 novel, the movie presents Jesus as deeply human, full of doubt, fear, and inner conflict. The most shocking scene? A dream sequence where he rejects the crucifixion, marries Mary Magdalene, and lives a normal life. To many Christians, this was flat-out blasphemy. The outrage was immediate and global. Evangelical leaders called it an attack on Christianity. The Catholic Church officially condemned it. The American Family Association gathered over 1 million signatures demanding that Universal Pictures cancel the release. Then came the violence. In Paris, Catholic extremists firebombed a theater showing the film, injuring 13 people. In the US, protesters picketed cinemas, and Scorsese received death threats. Major chains like Blockbuster and General Cinemas refused to carry it. Despite all this, The film was released in August 1988, but only in select theaters. It flopped, earning $8.3 million on a $7 million budget. Some countries like Greece, Turkey, and Mexico outright banned it. Others like Argentina and Chile didn't lift bans for decades. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, 1986, a film too real for Hollywood. Slasher films ruled the 80s, but Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, was a different beast. It didn't have a masked villain, creative kills, or a final girl. It was too raw, too real, and Hollywood wanted nothing to do with it. Loosely based on real-life serial killer Henry Lee Lucas, the film follows a drifter who kills without remorse. No chase scenes, no revenge plots, just cold, detached killing. The violence isn't stylized, it's casual, almost documentary-like, which made it even more disturbing. The MPAA freaked out. They refused to give it an R rating even after multiple edits. Instead, they slapped it with an X rating, a death sentence for any film trying to reach theaters. The message was clear. This movie should not be seen. No studio would touch it. Henry sat on a shelf for 4 years, finally getting a tiny release in 1990. Only art house theaters dared to screen it. Some cities banned it, and major video rental chains refused to stock it. It flopped, making just $600,000 on a $110,000 budget. But over time, it found a cult following. Still, in the 80s, Hollywood wanted Henry buried, too real, too brutal, and way too uncomfortable. Natural Born Killers, 1994, Hollywood's most dangerous film? By 1994, Quentin Tarantino was untouchable, so when he wrote a script about a couple on a killing spree, studios lined up to make it, until they saw what Oliver Stone did with it. Natural Born Killers wasn't just violent, it was a full-blown attack on the media. The film follows Mickey and Mallory Knox, two lovers who kill indiscriminately while the press turns them into celebrities. The rapid cuts, chaotic editing, and surreal visuals made it feel like a fever dream and left audiences shaken. Then came the copycat crimes. In 1995, teenagers Sarah Edmondson and Ben Darris went on a killing spree after watching the film over 20 times. They later admitted Natural Born Killers inspired their crimes. The lawsuits hit next. Victims' families sued Warner Brothers, claiming the movie was responsible for real-world deaths. The case dragged on for years, raising the question, can Hollywood be blamed for murder? Some theaters refused to screen it. Countries like Ireland and the UK heavily censored it. Even in the US, Blockbuster banned the VHS, treating it like contraband. The backlash didn't kill the film, but Hollywood wanted to forget it. Warner Brothers buried the director's cut, and mainstream outlets avoided discussing it for years. Kids, 1995, the film no studio wanted to touch. Hollywood had explored teen rebellion before, but Kids pushed boundaries in a way no studio wanted to be associated with. It wasn't a coming-of-age drama. It was a raw, unfiltered look at reckless youth, and it made the industry uncomfortable. Directed by Larry Clark and written by 19-year-old Harmony Korine, the film follows a group of teenagers navigating life in mid-90s New York. The story revolves around Telly, a teen whose reckless behavior endangers others. With no adult supervision, the film depicts a world of risky choices and harsh consequences. The documentary-style approach made it feel too real, sparking immediate controversy. Before its release, the MPAA slapped it with an NC-17 rating, a death sentence for mainstream distribution. No major studio would touch it. Even Miramax, which backed the film, pulled out at the last second, unwilling to take on the backlash. But Harvey Weinstein, before his own scandals, stepped in. He bought the rights personally and released it under an independent label to shield Miramax's reputation. It was a risky move, but it worked. Kids made $20 million worldwide on a $1.5 million budget. Outrage followed. Parent groups condemned it, theaters faced protests, and politicians called for bans. Some states refused to screen it, and major video rental chains wouldn't stock it. The fact that some actors were underage only fueled the backlash. Even after its financial success, Hollywood distanced itself from kids. It became an industry embarrassment, too explicit, too dangerous, and too uncomfortable to acknowledge. The Prophet, 2001, Scientology's legal battle to bury a film. Some films cause controversy because of their content, others because of who doesn't want them seen. Directed by Peter and Alexander, The Prophet tells the story of a charismatic leader who creates a movement to manipulate followers and amass wealth. The film's themes closely resembled a well-known, highly litigious religious organization, and that did not go unnoticed. Legal trouble started before the film even had a chance to find an audience. The organization's legal team aggressively pursued lawsuits, calling the movie defamatory and pressuring distributors not to pick it up. The tactic worked. The Prophet was effectively blocked from release. Then, a bizarre twist. In 2002, a high-profile lawsuit involving a former member's suspicious death was underway. Lawyers planned to use The Prophet as evidence, arguing that it reflected real-world events. Before that could happen, a judge issued an injunction, effectively banning the film from distribution. Technically, The Prophet wasn't illegal, but no theater could screen it. Copies disappeared, and today it remains one of the hardest films to find. The Interview, 2014, the film that provoked an international crisis. Hollywood loves political satire, but The Interview didn't just ruffle feathers, it nearly caused a global incident. This Seth Rogen and James Franco comedy about a controversial plot against a North Korean leader led to cyber attacks, international outrage, and terrorism threats. The film follows two journalists recruited by intelligence agents to eliminate a high-profile foreign leader during an interview. North Korea immediately condemned it, calling it an act of war. But Sony Pictures pushed ahead, until things spiraled out of control. In November 2014, a massive cyber attack crippled Sony's servers. Hackers leaked confidential emails, unreleased films, and personal employee data. A group called Guardians of Peace claimed responsibility, but U.S. officials later linked the attack to North Korea. Then came the violence threats. The hackers warned of major attacks on any theater screening the movie. Major chains, including AMC, Regal, and Cinemark, refused to show it, citing safety concerns. Under pressure, Sony pulled the theatrical release. The backlash was immediate. Even President Obama called Sony's decision a mistake. Facing criticism, the studio opted for a digital release, making The Interview one of the first major films to skip theaters entirely. It still made $40 million online, but the damage was done. Hollywood was shaken. An Open Secret, 2014. Hollywood's darkest scandal exposed. Hollywood loves a hard-hitting exposé, unless it's about Hollywood itself. An Open Secret set out to expose one of the industry's most disturbing scandals, but instead of making headlines, it was quietly buried. Directed by Oscar-nominated filmmaker Amy Berg, the documentary investigates misconduct in the entertainment industry, focusing on a ring of influential insiders accused of exploiting young actors. It features first-hand testimonies from victims who name talent managers, agents, and executives. Some of the accused had already faced legal trouble, including figures linked to Digital Entertainment Network, DEN, a now-defunct company tied to multiple allegations. The message was unmistakable. This wasn't just a few bad actors, it was a systemic cover-up. And that made it a problem for Hollywood. Despite support from Gabriel Byrne and other insiders, An Open Secret couldn't find a distributor. Major studios refused to touch it. Film festivals pulled out, afraid of backlash. The documentary was effectively blacklisted. Berg later revealed that she was warned releasing the film could end her career. When it finally surfaced, it was through limited screenings and a free streaming platform. No major network or streaming service would host it. Vaxxed, 2016, the film that got canceled overnight. Few films have been erased as quickly as Vaxxed, from cover-up to catastrophe. It wasn't pulled for violence, explicit content, or political scandal. It was shut down because public health officials called it dangerous misinformation. Directed by Andrew Wakefield, a former doctor whose 1998 study falsely linked vaccines to health issues, later debunked and retracted, Vaxxed claimed government agencies suppressed critical data. Despite being widely dismissed by experts, the film started gaining traction. The controversy exploded when Robert De Niro, co-founder of the Tribeca Film Festival, announced Vaxxed would be screened in 2016. Within days, doctors, scientists, and health organizations condemned the decision, warning that airing the film would spread misinformation. The backlash was so intense that De Niro personally pulled it from the lineup. Then, the film vanished. Major distributors refused to carry it. Streaming platforms blocked it from their libraries. Even YouTube took down promotional content, citing violations of medical misinformation policies.